What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to a special edition of Smack Talk presented by SmarkOutMoment.com and MegaPowersRadio.com. This is the TLC post-show recap and review where we're going to break down everything that just happened about 20 minutes ago on this pay-per-view and our positives, our negatives, what we think is going to happen going forward, anything else that we decide to talk about too. I am your host, Tony Mango. Joining me on this panel is, on the soundboard, Mr. Mike Payton.
What's up, Tater Tot?
What's up, man? Before we get into introducing everybody, I just want to ask everybody one by one. You in a good spirit or bad spirit right now?
Ooh, it's a good spirit.
Oh, then you're going to be saying a lot of bullshit.
I'm pretty awesome. I mean, you could say whatever you want about the first 2 hours and 40 minutes of that fucking show. The last fucking 5 minutes of it was fucking amazing.
Also, we've got Steven Wago.
Yeah, the UFC 194 was a good show.
Good spirit about that one.
Yeah.
Caitlin Ferris.
What's happening, everybody? Hey, did you know that TLC stands for Tony Loves Cock?
I didn't. I didn't, but now that you bring that up.
Jeez.
Damn, dude, that was brutal.
It was more brutal than a lot of the spots tonight. And giggling in the background, Drew White.
There we go.
What?
What the fuck was that?
I think he was doing his Tony impression.
Oh,
Oh, that's what that was.
he's doing the thing like Roman Reigns was. It's like, oh, they like my joke, let's do some more.
Yeah, did you like the Tater Tot impression?
Oh, it was the tater tot impression.
Oh,
You should have been sizzling. Go ahead, sizzle. Jesus.
Had to get right up to the microphone for that one, Tony, just for you, so you're welcome.
I'm very appreciative of that. So, as I said before, I want to get some general impressions before we start breaking stuff down. I have to say, I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time, very, very down on this. I did not like this whatsoever. I can't really find all that much positive to say, and I actually, when I was going through my list of stuff that I could write down for highlights and low points and stuff, part of it ended up being the event ended was one of my highlights. I just kind of wanted this to be over, and I don't have all that much positive to say, but I'm going to try my best to bring some positives out there, and hopefully everybody else can kind of pick up the slack when it comes to that, and we're not just all shitting on this, but we will shit on various things. And the first thing I want to shit on is the very beginning of the night, the kickoff.
Oh, I thought it was going to be that homeless guy.
What?
Goddamn homeless guy.
Well, he's in the corner. It doesn't matter. It's New York. That's what he's got trash bags for. So this kickoff, beforehand, we didn't have any matches announced other than at the last minute they decided to pull out of their ass Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Apparently, Sasha Banks is from the area, so maybe that's one of their big motivators for that. Maybe not. Maybe they just kind of realized, oh shit, we don't have a whole lot to talk about, so we need something to eat up some time or whatever. Or maybe they actually came to the realization that pre-shows are terrible if it's just recaps. But I gotta say, even the match, this just didn't do it for me. And the worst part about this wasn't even my usual complaint about just the recaps and Byron Saxton being terrible and all this other stuff. It was this pre-match promo that Team Bad did. Now, who missed the pre-show? Because I know not everybody was able to check it out all, immediately. Partially because of WWE Network problems, which is another problem here.
Yeah, what the hell was that? At least I was able to get the network working just in time for the match.
Actually,
before that, like the 10 minutes before that, I was struggling with it. So I don't know what the hell. But I wasn't the only one.
No, I was one of, no, I wasn't. You were not the only one. It happened to me. And what was weird was the number of times that the night, especially during the main event segments, it kicked me off the stream for TLC, and then I'd have to relaunch it on the WWE Network. And a weird thing is, they kept on playing that what's happening right now doesn't represent WWE's opinions and stuff like that. Kind of what they do when they show Chris Benoit stuff, and they have to put that disclaimer at the front of it. And I don't understand why they were doing that for a pay-per-view in 2015.
Yeah, I had a few
They do it for
issues
everyone, don't
where
they?
it wasn't giving me that issue, but it would do the thing where it switches to the lower quality. It would like freeze for a second, and when it would
It
come
did
back
do
to
that
the low
too.
quality. And it did that like maybe a dozen times during the night. And it did right at the end of the tag team match. It kind of screwed up, but it didn't spoil it for me or anything, so I wasn't too pissed.
Actually, no. I barely got to see Kalisto Selena Del Sol because right after that, it did the thing where it just like stopped the stream and just took me to the main menu, and that was a recurring thing throughout the night. It just pissed me off so much.
What platform you watched it on?
Xbox One, but it was weird. It did the same thing for SummerSlam too, and then like when you're trying to load it up, it would just take you to a black screen, and then it'd be like, "Sorry, you can't do that right now."
Oh, I know why that does that. It's because it's a shit console.
It's also because
Well, to be
Drew's in
fair-
the future from his super fast internet that he's watching SummerSlam 2.
He went back in time.
But I will say,
Cyclical.
I did have the same issue before on a Wii U, and I know my laptop has had issues with that as well. So I'm not going to say it's just the Xbox One's fault. And I had a friend with a PlayStation 4.
You heard it
who's had
here.
that
It was
issue
the Xbox
before.
One.
You know, it could be, but you know, at the end of the day, just fucking, it's like almost 2 years since they've had this network. Get your shit together. Not many people are tuning in to TLC. It shouldn't have been screwing up like that.
I mean, this could happen at any time. You can't just say that because honestly, the network has been way more stable since they launched it than probably should have been expected.
But it has been
definitely.
happening
I've
a lot
heard-
recently.
I've
Survivor
heard very
Series
good
ran
problems
into the
with
same issue with the pre-show.
I didn't have any problems with the pre-show.
A lot of people did.
As for the pre-show tonight, I just chose not to watch it. I mean,
didn't
why do I want to see a fucking hour of just recaps and a match which is probably going to be way too short?
Oh, because
it's
you would have
weird.
missed that amazing rendition of 12 Days of Christmas by Team Bad, where not only could none of them sing, which I have no reason to complain about that, being somebody who is terrible at singing myself, but none of it was funny at all. Like, I didn't laugh a single line for this whole thing. We've had a 12 Days of outro before, and I listened back to that last night, actually, and I laughed at least 5 times for what Peyton's lyrics were. And they didn't make me laugh a single time. Not even a chuckle or a smile at any of the things that they were saying. And I can't even remember any of the lines because they were that bad. I do remember, though, that instead of having the ring line being something to do with, 5 golden rings or whatever like that, they said it at like 7 or something. And it was just awkward. Hated it. And you're going to have very, very few people were really, from what I could hear, super pumped for TLC. And then you're going to go into the pre-show and have all these issues, and then it's going to be like, no, we're back. Don't worry about it, guys. And the first thing you're going to see is going to be this promo? Really?
Well, to be fair, I muted the promo as soon as I heard they were starting to sing because I had the family downstairs, and then I was like, nope, I'm not going to make these guys just totally not question why I watch this right now. Mute. Wait for that to go, and then Becky Lynch's theme came on. I was
Drew
just
is
like,
still
nope.
young and he cares about what other people think about him.
To be fair, no, my
Aw.
stepdad has always been like, "Oh, you still watch this after I took you to that thing like 12 years ago?" Fucking.
Oh,
loser.
so it's not just your girlfriend.
Oh, so it wasn't just like he spent a bunch of money on something that you dropped and didn't have any interest with later? Like probably fucking baseball and the trombone and I imagine other things you probably were into?
I never played the trombone. I played the saxophone.
You don't play it anymore, do you?
But did you ever throw a trombone?
No, I never have. Actually, the saxophone, I don't have one, but I could definitely still pick one up and be able to master it pretty well.
Master it, not even
We're
play
Talking
it.
about this
Master.
promo.
See over here.
Talking about this promo, the thing that bothered me the most about it wasn't that it wasn't funny or that they couldn't sing. It was just, it's so obvious that they're trying to, I know they're friends with the New Day and they've done some things with them, but it's like, hey, crowd, you like the New Day? Well, they're going to do the same kind of thing. You guys like that too, right? No, they aren't good at it. They're not the New Day. Let the New Day do the New Day. Let Team Bad be Team Bad. It's so ridiculous how they're trying to shove one gimmick onto them because it works with another team.
Very much so, and I mean, I feel sorry for the other people that watch this too, and I feel envious of people like Drew that muted it. And it's a shame.
What? Why should I have to suffer when I was smart enough to mute it, Tony? That's your fucking problem for trying to cover the whole damn thing. Not my problem.
I would love
Well, you
to
didn't-
be in
then
the
you missed
room.
all the times when they said unity.
Oh,
Well-
that's what they've been saying? I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, that hasn't gotten
Actually,
over
that
yet.
makes sense because Because when Booker T and Brian Saxon tried to say it, I was just like, oh my god. And then you had like Booker T's like, oh man, Queen Latifah sitting back, UNITY.
You don't remember when that song was a thing, Drew. Shut up.
No,
I'd just love to hear WWE's opinion about this. What you had just said, Drew, about it's my fault for covering the whole thing. Like, I'd love to be in the room and going, you know, guys, I don't think this is going to be a good segment. And then be like, you know, arguing for it and go, well, if people don't like it, they should just not watch it. And then be like, okay, well, then they won't. Yeah, well, it's your fault for watching the shit that we do. Like, I could just see that being an argument that they would do, you know? Hey, we didn't tell you had to watch our shit. Like, but that led us into Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch having a match, which is fine. No complaints, really, but at the same time, I don't remember a single thing that was, like, great about it or whatever. Not that it needed to be, like, over-the-top, great, fantastic match of the year or anything like that, but you were already giving me a pay-per-view that I wasn't interested in, a pre-show that was having glitches, a bad promo. The least you could have done was given me a better match to kind of make up for it a little bit. So I'm disappointed in these two. And I don't know if I should really blame the two of them necessarily, or just, I mean, a lot of it's obviously my perception going into it. It's going to influence it too.
How
but
long were they given?
about
it was
15
decent
minutes.
enough.
It was like 15
Okay,
minutes.
if they were given 15 minutes and they didn't put on a good match, that falls on them, no one else.
Actually,
It was 11:43.
I think Tony was a little bit harsh on it because, you know, of that promo. I enjoyed the match, you know. It was Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. I always thought Becky Lynch was just a product of kind of like how Charlotte was having great matches because she was working with Sasha Banks all the time, you know. So I really enjoyed the match, you know. They had some good moves, you know, a few good submission
Stop saying
spots.
you
in it,
know.
you know.
He's just watched a whole bunch of Road Dogg promos.
Sure.
Yeah. So anybody have anything else that they want to throw out there about this whole pre-show in general? Either the problems they had, the match, the promo, future of Team Bad trying to be New Day, or anything like that?
Oh, hey, we got to talk about our segment where we went to the back to answer user tweets.
That was what, Del Rio?
It was Del Rio.
And best part about that, from what I can remember, was when he was telling him that he needed to roll his R.
That was pretty good, but the funny thing is, after he insulted him like that, he's like, all right, well, this first question is probably the most important. Why did you come back to WWE? And while I was watching that, as soon as he asked that is when my feed cut out. So he asked it, and then all of a sudden it stopped and paused with Del Rio with the weirdest look on his face. So it's like he asked him the question, and he just got like stumped.
Just like, what?
No. My favorite part of that whole segment was when he asked, so why did you and Zed break up? And he was just like, well, see, it wasn't working. I was like, yep, that's pretty much exactly why.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
It wasn't working. What, your relationship? Nah, the story.
Would have been great, though, when they asked him why he came back to WWE. Yeah, money's good.
If he just would have went like, you seen the other companies that I've been working with? Shit, some dude just attacked me the other day at the World Wrestling Council or whatever it was. Crap, man. But, yeah, I mean, there's little backstage things with Tom Phillips. They can be either, like, really funny or they can just kind of be a waste of time, and this was okay. It was fine. I would have liked to see something more than just, like, he gets a little bit upset and struggles to take his microphone off and then leaves, but, you know.
That took way too long for him to get that mic off.
Didn't it? He was just kind of like, I want to leave. I'm going to go, and as soon as I get this off, then I'm going to leave, and thank you for having me. It's a little disappointing that I can't get this off, but can you guys just cut? Can you cut? Kind of a thing. Any other opinions about this?
Also, going to a commercial in the middle of a pre-show match is bullshit. The whole hour is a commercial. Just let me see the match.
Actually, no, I don't fault them for having that commercial break, mainly because they promoted a lot of stuff that they were having for the network coming up. So I'm not gonna.
No,
Yeah, you know,
they
you
can
could-
structure that any way they want. It's not like they have to take commercial breaks at set times because the network is telling them to.
Right.
They
They
can
could've
run
done it
as many
before or
commercials as they
after.
want. They can do it whenever they want. So they could literally have that commercial run 50 times after itself at any time other than that match if they wanted to.
I
There was
get that.
no reason for it to be during the match.
But the kickoff was also on YouTube, and maybe not everyone has the network per se, and they're trying to advertise what they have on it. to the YouTube audience or Hulu or wherever else that they show
So
show for free.
So let the network
I'm sure they
get uninterrupted. That should
Boom,
be like
exactly.
a bonus for us.
the people
Fair.
who have the network doesn't need to be. Yeah,
They're very true. So
Mhm.
that's one advantage of having the network. You don't have this shit interrupted all the time. There you
Look
go.
at YouTube Red. The whole point of paying for YouTube Red is to not have ads. You're paying for
Or
the
you can
network.
install ad blocker.
Yeah. And if there was a way that you could install ad blocker on the commercials that they run in these, I would totally do that. So that kind of rounds us out for our pre-show stuff, which means it's time for us to open up the phone lines and stuff and to let you guys know how you can call into the show if you want. You can do that through Skype, or you can do that using your phone. You can call in, excuse me, using any of our numbers. We have 2 different numbers that work here, 760-512-7247 or 713-955-0363. Or if you're a little bit shy and you don't want to call into the show, then you can just hang out in our chat room and talk with the different people that are there. Of course, we got a couple of guests there. Make sure you guys register so we can call you by your actual names instead of 3420 and 3500. We got Mark Swaby as well, and we got good old Wigmeister. What's up, Caleb? So we're going to get right into the actual beginning of the pay-per-view, the technical start of the show. The Tag Team Championship ladder match, New Day defeated the Usos and the Lucha Dragons in what I would have to say is one of the better matches of the night, but still a little bit underwhelming. And I want to point out 2 things in particular that I really liked about this, though, more so than anything else. The ending with Xavier Woods throwing the trombone. I thought that was pretty funny.
Good stuff.
And the highlight of maybe the entire pay-per-view, Kalisto's Salida del Sol. That was awesome.
I would say, yeah, that's the only part of the pay-per-view that really made me get out of my skin. I was like, oh my God. But, exactly. I was hoping you were going to bring that up first.
yeah, it's not even that. I've personally, I was just like, oh yeah, well this match is a no DQ, and he just threw it down to go get the trombone. That just made me laugh.
But where do you guys rank this as far as the scale of how it should have done its job? I mean, this is the opening match, so there's a certain level of expectation. It's not going to be the best match of the night, but it should be good enough to kind of pump the crowd up. Did it do that serviceably, or was this something that maybe in retrospect this should have been later on to kind of build stuff back up? Because we sort of went into a little bit of a dip after that, and maybe it didn't even do its job enough to boost the crowd up enough to not have to fall down afterward. I mean, there was a lot of opinions.
You bring up a good point there, because this match was essentially there to rile up the crowd and get them going, even though that's what your pre-show's meant for.
Mm-hmm.
And they blew their load. It was a fantastic match, and I'm not faulting that. A little bit of a cluster at times, and they could have done a little more selling. Guys could have slowed down. But, yeah, overall, it was a fun match, a lot of good spots. But then you had the next match, I think it was Rusev and Ryback. Crowd didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think there's 3 matches that were supposed to pump the crowd up throughout the night, and that was this match, the tables match with the Wyatt family and Team Extreme, and maybe Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens. So at least this one did its job. It really pumped up the crowd. Everyone was going ballistics for it. And, this easily was one of the better ladder matches this year. Definitely one of the best ones they've had in a long time. So I really enjoyed the match.
See, the pessimist in me says none of this is really that memorable other than that one move Kalisto did.
No, go back and watch it, because I think this was a very strong match.
Yeah.
I was very entertained, and I think it was the perfect way to start off the night. To me, this was the match of the night. This was the one that entertained me the most. It kept me hooked from beginning to the end. It was a bit of a spot fest, but, what do you expect in a ladders match? And I was happy with how it ended. I liked the trombone spot. I liked their celebration at the end. The Salida del Sol off the top was great. There was a lot of really good spots in there. Man, Kofi took so much damage during this match.
Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about that part. Where he just
Kofi
smacks
got
his
beat
head.
up.
One of those Usos, I don't know which one, but one of those Usos who took whichever Uso took that Salida del Sol spot definitely is going to be feeling terrible tomorrow.
I think that was Jay, but I don't know for sure.
I can't fucking tell the difference.
That wasn't so bad for him. That was way worse for Kalisto.
Kalisto, yeah.
Yeah, he broke his Cossacks there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was terrible.
I thought it was funny. I think Michael Cole was saying that one of the Sin Cara was on the ground or something, and it was Kalisto, and Xavier was like, "That's not Sin Cara. Sin Cara's in the ring. Get your fucking facts straight, Michael."
I'm pretty sure he didn't say fucking.
I wish.
Get your
I
goddamn
wish.
fucking back straight.
But with the match, there was a few spots I've never actually really noticed in like a ladder match before. I think there was a spot where like there was like a I don't know like a hurricanrana and like Kofi just like slammed his head and, like on the side of the ladder. And then there was
you know.
You know who I bet was happy tonight was Xavier Woods was happy tonight that he is one of the odd guys out with the group.
Yeah,
He's like this. Like he actually got to sit back and just watch commentary. He was just like, "Sucks to be Biggie and Kof tonight."
The 6 other guys are all backstage, all going like, they're like bandaged up. I'm not saying packaged, I don't know why. And had ice packs and stuff like that. And then he's sitting there going like munching on some Cheetos, just going like, fun match, guys.
And he's like, "Hey, want to record up, down, down?"
Yeah. I think that we should go for something like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, something that's real bone crushing.
Actually, no, he's probably in the back just like polishing his trombone, making sure it's all fine while those two are like patching each other up.
Yeah, they're going through their match afterwards and talking about what spots worked, what didn't, and he's just chiming in. Yeah, but did you see me throw it? It's pretty good, right?
He takes one of the ice packs from them and puts it on the trombone. You okay there, buddy? Shut up, Jimmy. You don't need this. I don't know, though. I mean, I will say it's one of my favorite matches of the night, but that's sort of giving it a little bit too much credit than I think I would if it was a better pay-per-view. Like, if we would have had, like, better matches throughout the whole thing, I don't think I would have lumped this in as one of the highlights. The move, definitely, but the rest of it, I don't know.
Dude, you're just desensitized at that point then.
Yeah.
Like,
a little bit, for sure.
Great, and there was a lot of awesome spots in it, and, that may be their fault for oversaturating these kind of matches and, having it just because it's December, but I thought this match was great. Even under the under unmagnifying glass by itself, or even as part of the package. No matter what the package is, this is good.
Even if it's a Big E package.
Might have been. He was in the match.
You know what? This reminded me of. I'm gonna go with like last year's TLC. First match was like Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper in a ladders match. Great match. And then the rest of the show just kind of fell off. Reminded me of that.
See, I don't remember those kind of pay-per-views. There's the pay-per-views I end up just at the end of the year going, oh yeah, that one sucked. That's about it.
Maybe you should try to remember more.
Well, see, this is where...
had this been an average match for the night, I think it would have been a lot better the night overall, but I thought this was the highlight. And since everything else was below this, in my opinion, the whole night was kind of, I don't want to say soured, but if half the matches would have been at this level or better, I would feel totally great about the night, as is. Well, I mean, we'll get into the rest of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. It's like, this is really good compared to all the other ones. Compared to a good pay-per-view, it would be okay. And that's not to say that, like, these are bad performers or anything like that. I certainly couldn't do this and whatever. But when you're surrounded by a lot of bad shit, you kind of need to step your game up even more. And I think that going into TLC, they probably should know that there's not really all that much interest in the product. This should have been one of those nights where they went, guys, we need to just, put out all the stops. We need to just put on the best show possible. And for this to be one of the highlights, I don't think that that's good enough.
Let me ask you, do you really think that's not their goal every night? To put on the best show they possibly can?
I honestly say no.
You really think they honestly just go out there, it's like, fuck it, we're just going to half-ass it tonight?
Yeah, I really do. I don't think that they do that for necessarily, like, the pay-per-views. I think that backstage they're all going, you guys are going to do great and that kind of stuff. But I think that there's always a little bit of that kind of reluctance to really go extra. I mean, you look at WrestleMania and everybody really, really steps up their game. Or if somebody's making their debut match, they really have that extra energy. But if they've got low morale, I think just by default, they kind of feel like they don't need to do that. I mean, everybody does it too. I mean, you start to hate your job. You're not going to go in every day and go, you know what, I'm going to put on the best damn smile on my face and I'm going to do my best work. Where I've written articles where I just don't care about it and I'm down on whatever I'm going to write about, so it ends up not being that good. And they're human, so I'm not going to fault them for that. But at the same time, this is leading into the second most important pay-per-view of the year, and this isn't good enough.
I don't know if
No,
it's
but
necessary.
I mean, as far as them not wanting to put on the best show, don't you think at least half the roster is concerned about job security?
Yeah.
Of course they are.
If these
Oh,
guys
definitely.
lose their jobs with WWE, so wouldn't they want to put on their best show? Is what I'm saying.
I am of the firm belief that everyone goes out there intending to do the best show possible. But there's a circumstance of events that, for one reason or another, keeps them from doing it. Maybe someone feels like they have handcuffs on them, or they're even actually do have handcuffs on them, and they're told to go out there and not do that well.
Tables,
Well, no,
ladders,
I'm
chairs, and
thinking like
handcuffs.
specifically like the Divas pre-show match. You know, you guys were saying I expected better of them. I wouldn't be surprised if they were sent out there and told to hold back
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they had another Divas match that night that they really wanted more highlighted. And just in general, like they know what these horsewomen are capable of.
Right.
They could have went out there and made everyone else look like a bunch of jabrones. So
Well,
I'm
see-
sure they went and told them to hold it back out there.
See, that brings up a good point, though, and that's why I don't want to say that this is all just on the performers themselves. Most, if not like the majority of it, is on WWE Creative, because we've seen with all these kind of pay-per-views, like Extreme Rules and such, or Hell in a Cell, or anything that has like a gimmick thing where there's multiple different matches of the same type, we see that happen all the time. And that's a problem. I think that they shouldn't be telling these people, look, you have a tables match, but you can't do many table spots because we have a TLC match. Bullshit. That's a tables match. They should be the ones that, if you're going to think of a table spot at all during this night, it should be in the tables match. And if you're going to think of a ladder spot, it should be in the ladder match. And a TLC match is the same goddamn thing. So that's, I've argued this point a million times. But if they do an Extreme Rules match and then they do a street fight, they're the same thing. And they shouldn't tell match 1 that you can't do as much because match 2's got to be better. If match 1 is fantastic, that's up to the performers in match 2 to do that much better.
I don't
And
believe
maybe that competition would like spur on some better matches in general. You don't handicap something in the hopes that the second one will be able to reach that level of expectations, and diminishing the other one will help that one. You give it competition. You know what I mean?
I'm a firm believer in that there's probably some people on the roster who do what is told of them, and maybe some that are scared to go out and try to do something in fear of someone in the back not like it. Maybe Vince won't like it, which could cause them to like lose a push or lose their job down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not necessarily a believer in that they don't try. I believe every one of those guys try, but when they tell you to go do something, would not surprise me if some of the younger guys especially just go, well, I don't want to piss someone off if something goes wrong because of an idea that we had, so let's just do what they tell us.
Right.
And I think one thing that would just not be mentioned is the fact that these guys are on the road 300 times a year, so it's a lot of fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be times where they're just going through the motions.
Right.
Isn't that house shows though?
That's kind of that's another argument.
Well, then again, if you've been there for like 5 years, 10 years, maybe it all bleeds together.
I mean, this is a total discussion for another day, but I want to just put it out there in case people want to kind of maybe just like let it stew in their heads. I don't think that we should really have house shows anymore. Now it's going to seem controversial and
Less
stuff.
house shows.
Maybe just none.
Nah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean that's them. To
They
keep
make
their
money,
craft
come on.
honed,
Yeah, they make money on that.
People enjoy. And you know what? That's an opportunity for them to take the show to these areas that people might not otherwise get to see a show because they're not
It's
going to
also-
lug all the TV equipment out to frickin' I don't know, Flint, Michigan. Like,
Yeah.
Flint.
Yeah, trust me, Flint's worse than Detroit. No one's bringing shit
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, true.
Good choice of city right there.
I went to one live show that wasn't like a Raw, SmackDown, or a pay-per-view, and that was at my college. My college town is not very big, and they just put in the stadium at my college. And there was a lot of kids there, but I guarantee you a lot of those people won't be driving 2.5 hours to Indianapolis or maybe 2 hours to Chicago to see like Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view. When there's this like small one that's a little cheaper, you get to see some of your favorite stars. Granted, most of the time you know what's going to happen, but it's more. I think live shows is more of a kids thing than
actually, I think
anything else.
I think the live shows are more unpredictable than TV because they'll actually experiment and do like weird one-off stuff that you would never expect them to do.
Well,
with these
that's
house shows.
that's why I would not never want the house shows to go away, because one of the most important parts of a house show is These guys get to practice a program or a match before they do it on the main roster.
That's true.
They get to decide if a match is going to work or not. And sometimes they do it regardless, but sometimes they go, oh, this combination doesn't work. Let's go a different direction.
Well, the thing that gets me about house shows, though, is that they almost always have a title match on a house show.
That's what
and you know damn well that the title's not going to change hands. It almost never even changes hands on Raw or SmackDown. It's almost always a pay-per-view.
And that's not true, man. The very first show I ever went to was a house show, and I saw a tag team title change.
Okay, within the last 20 years.
Last 20 years, didn't Spanky and what's-his-face? Oh, yeah, and Epico and Primo won them once, too.
Yeah, but dude, like, there's a handful. There's a handful in the entire history. It's not that big.
Right.
But it's just the thought that it can happen. It can happen anytime. And you know what? They don't do it as much now because we have the internet. But way back in the day, they would do title changes at house shows and then just like act like it never fucking happened.
Right. Because everybody's like, "Oh my god, did you see the new tag team champions?" So they're like, "What tag champions on Superstars? It's the same people." Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ted DiBiase was like WWF champion.
Well, you know what? That was after that whole thing with Andre when he won the title and then passed it on to DiBiase.
Oh yeah, that was right.
There was a series of tapings they did in the Boston market where they in the Boston market
in the Boston chicken
in the Boston locale. And he was doing his promos wearing the belt around his waist. It's actually kind of a surreal sight to see.
Well, getting us back to TLC, you brought up a point, Wago, about that they get a chance to try things out on these house shows, and they can see whether or not something works. Rusev versus Ryback. This is a match that we've seen a couple times on Raw, and we've probably seen it on SmackDown. I know I haven't, but that's because I'm not watching SmackDown. It might have even been on Superstars or Main Event or whatever. I don't really know. But this was a filler match, and it was something that I think it sort of speaks to the volume of how many times can you do the same thing, and if it didn't work really before to be all that interesting, it's not going to work again. The big part of this match was Rusev pushing Ryback into Lana, which we've already seen twice now, and she did an even worse job selling it than she did before, and it's the same thing again. So now we've watched the same thing three times. It's even like less interesting, and this followed up so quickly from the beginning of the night that we went from, I don't really know if I really want to watch TLC. Oh, okay, I'll try to put on the pre-show. Oh, God, this pre-show's not even working. Oh, okay, it's working. Oh, God, there's this stupid promo. Then there's this okay match. Oh, cool, tag title match. Cool. And then we go right into filler? Shouldn't this have been another good thing to kind of boost the crowd back up and kind of like, well, you guys had fun with the tag team title match or whatever, and just to prove you guys wrong that this is going to be a good show, we're going to put another real fast-paced kind of thing, or even the chairs match was better off than this. And I got to think that the placement of this match was really terrible.
Agreed. It definitely killed the mood of the night, like, so quickly, because after that tag team match, you followed up with this. I in my notes, I was going over for Ryback versus Rusev, I have 2-word notes. Nothing special. That's all I wrote. It was a Raw match. You know, like you said, we've seen this before. We're probably going to see it again tomorrow night. Why did they put this match on there? It was totally unnecessary. It killed the mood, and it was just such a letdown after the tag team match.
It was appropriate that Lana was out there because this match was a wet fish.
Hey.
Where was Ziggler and Breeze?
Completely off the pay-per-view.
Fucking off.
And you know what? Who else were?
Neville.
Miz and Neville, Stardust and Titus, or Stardust and Goldust.
Barrett.
Yeah,
where
King
the fuck
Barrett.
is Wade Barrett.
No match for King Barrett.
I figured he would come out at the end with the rest of them.
Yeah,
I know.
He was completely left out. He's either hurt or he pissed off somebody or something.
Mm-hmm. He was in that one backstage segment on the pre-show where they're all standing around the table and they're all going like, "So we're kind of awesome, right, fella? All right, yeah, hey, cool." And it's like, it's kind of weird looking because you've got Sheamus has the WWE title on the table. Del Rio's got the US title on the table. Barrett's got the King's crown on the table. And then Rusev's just standing there with Lana. It's just kind of like, at least put Lana on the table or something.
Well, he was actually going to run in, but he was distracted by Triple H, like showing him his impression of him.
He's like, no, I got a brand new act, dude. I've been talking to Ziggler. Disappointed in this Rusev and Ryback thing, though, and I don't know. I mean, I can't really say I'm disappointed in the sense that I thought it was going to be better. My expectations weren't that high, but this was just like, damn, man, like, as we said with the tag title match, if everything would have been that quality or better, this would have been a good night. And immediately after this, we go to this match. I'm like, ah, shit. Well, there goes that, you know? Then they had to do recovery mode again, and they had to go back up and build me back up again, and they didn't really get a chance to do it, I think. But does anybody have any positives about Rusev and Ryback? Do you actually want this feud to continue?
Definitely don't want it to continue. The match wasn't bad, it just fell flat after that.
I have one positive. It was the shortest match of the night.
Was it?
Yep. It was under 8 minutes.
Wow, it felt like it went a lot longer.
Yeah. I thought that the Sasha match was probably the shortest. Huh.
No, that went almost 12.
There you go.
And shit, that match felt like it was going on forever too. Fuck, because it was that damn commercial break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't help that either. But then we had the United States Championship match. It was a chairs match. Del Rio against Swagger. No appearances by Zeb Coulter at all, so a little disappointed in that. You guys think that he should have shown up?
What, is they gonna like make a spot in the match for us to awkwardly wait 3 minutes for him to shoot down the ring? Like, no, it's better to have held him back.
No, he could have, when they were running the video package ahead of time, he could have been going down ringside, and at the beginning of the match, he could have been ringside to watch the match.
You should have just came out, run over Del Rio's foot, and left.
That would be great.
You know how people said that they should have used that little like scooter chair that he has? How would you use that as a weapon? You'd have to like throw Zeb out of it and then pick it up and hit him with it.
You could deliver the slowest clothesline on it ever.
I would have laughed my ass off, though, and it would have gotten more of a pop out of me than a lot of the shit that happened tonight. Mm-hmm. At the very least, like, that would have been kind of funny to see, like, Swagger on top of that, like, trying to surf on it or something. Like, something, I don't know. Like, shit, it's a wheelchair in a chairs match. That would have been interesting, you know?
This is the most ridiculous expectations I've ever. You just said your expectations for this pay-per-view were for Jack Swagger to ride on a motor scooter with Zeb Coulter like it's a surfboard.
I didn't say my
with these pay-per-views.
Not my expectation, but I would have liked it.
You know, I wouldn't mind if when Swagger came down with when his entrance, he was just like riding the back of Zeb Coulter's fucking thing like it was a surfboard.
Okay.
Now, I'll give them credit. I think that this was a better match than I expected it to be, and generally speaking, partially because I do have my my disappointments when it comes to Del Rio, and I'm not huge on Jack Swagger because he's been completely irrelevant for months, but also because just chairs matches in general are sort of blah. But I think that there were some good chair shots in this, and I liked the ending of it. That was kind of cool. You know, setting Swagger up in the corner and having him just get blasted into the chairs. That was kind of interesting. So I'm not going to shit all over everything, you know. And I'm actually glad that Del Rio won, because it makes way more sense. But I have to admit, at the same time, it would have woken me up a little bit if Swagger would have ended up winning that. So,
no,
you know. Or if he would have surfboarded on, you know, a wheelchair.
I like how the announcers tried to sell when he was doing the Patriot lock with the chair. Like, oh my gosh, like, oh, and like, it didn't look like it hurt that much. I mean,
You know, people were talking about
if he really wanted to hurt, he should have did it on the table.
You know, people were talking about what chair spot that they were going to use for Del Rio. I'm surprised that they didn't pull out the putting the arm through the chair and do the arm bar with it.
They didn't put Drew.
Same.
One thing that I have to mention though, how about that wedgie on Del Rio, right?
Like at the end when he did like the was it superplex?
He sounded kind of excited about that.
Yeah. I didn't notice this wedgie.
No, I noticed it. And he has a terrible tan down there, man.
Is this your equivalent of everybody's looking at Big E's package?
That's right.
Everyone was looking at Del Rio's. I think everyone was looking at Del Rio's ass, expecting like a chocolate turd stain, but that didn't come to fruition.
Like that's because he's not wearing the white; he was wearing gold.
Oh, it was gold? Fuck, I thought it was white.
I think it was gold. Then again, I'm not the one that was really staring at that. So, Kalen, was he wearing gold?
Oh, it was white and gold, man. Yeah.
It was gold and brown.
Jesus. Mark in the chat says Zeb will no doubt be on Raw on Monday with Swagger doing the We the People thing again, and everyone will forget about the Mex America thing. Do you guys think that they're going to just team them back up together?
Nope, I think Swagger's going off TV because fuck that guy.
That's sad that it's a possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, they did sort of say that, like, Swagger was fighting for Zeb's honor and stuff like that. So it's a possibility. And there was no better time that Swagger was somebody in the company than when he was teamed up with Zeb Coulter. So maybe they realized their mistake, and maybe they're kind of willing to just go back to the well. You know what I mean?
The only way I'm okay with this feud continuing is if there's a weekly segment where Del Rio knocks over a bunch of pipes next to Zeb Coulter.
Vintage pipes.
I'd be okay with this. So Del Rio retains there, and that leads us into the 8-man elimination tag team tables match. The Wyatt family defeats Team Extreme, Team ECW, Team ECW Originals, whatever you want to call them. And
I wanted to say rejects.
Yeah, you did.
I really did.
Yeah, like I totally fucking heard it.
Poor guys. It's so true. But here's something that I thought was funny in this match. When I went into this, I was really kind of hopeful that... Now, here's a more realistic expectation than Jack Swagger going all surfboard. There was potential for 7 different table spots in this, and it ended up just being, fuck the ECW guys. Eric Rowan is the first eliminated, and no other people from the Wyatt family get taken out. Technically...
It's Neville all over again.
Yeah, that was... Yeah.
Basically.
You gotta shit all over the future legends. It's ridiculous.
They're just not on the Neville level.
You know, I was
Poor Eric Rowan to be the guy who always has to be the guy that takes the hit. And
Well, it's like, and you know what? It sucks because they're like, yeah, he's got a new mask now. It's like, oh, look, they're revamping him. Oh, no, he's gone.
You know, I was actually half expecting that Braun Strowman would have been the only one eliminated, or at least the first one.
well,
They
he
didn't
should have
do
been
it.
the first one because he went through a goddamn table.
Well, I know that.
I
was
know,
just,
right?
You know, I was actually half expecting like Devon to get out of the way and like push him through the table and like kind of doing like, oh my god, it was an accident type of thing. But
Mhm.
they didn't do that at all. They just was like, oh yeah, remember that one time Big Show lost the title because he did that? Nah, you don't. So we're not gonna follow that rule.
That's one of my biggest gripes about this pay-per-view was just the sheer idiocy of this idea. Like, you don't book a segment where you have some, like, the rule is guy goes through table equals guy eliminated. Book a spot where somebody goes through a table and go, nah, he's not eliminated. Fuck you, he
So-
is.
So would Devon be eliminated because he made Air like break a table?
No, Air would be eliminated.
Ah, damn.
But what's the justification behind this? It's
Well,
stupid.
what
It's the
was the
typical...
spot? Was
It
it one
was,
of those things where he didn't go through a table by somebody else's force? Because they
Nope.
like to play with that rule sometimes.
He went to let's see, I think it was like Devon was like laying on like a table in the corner, got out of the way, and Brown just like kicked it, and it like snapped in half. It was kind of like Big
Oh,
Show.
I'm fine. That shouldn't be an elimination. But I mean, I remember back in Royal Rumble 2000, like if you went through a table when someone didn't throw you through it, it didn't count.
Yeah, they go back and forth in that rule.
So Devon should have just put one hand on him as he was going through, and that would have counted.
Yeah.
That's
He
the
didn't.
type of stuff that I can't stand, though, because to me, that's like, that just opens up the fallacy of the whole issue. If you didn't want to have somebody do a spot that doesn't make much sense, and you can argue that it does or it doesn't, but it's more of a discussion than it needed to be, don't have him kick through the table. You didn't need to have it, you know what I mean? And if it would have been an accident, it would have been a different story. Then it's like, all right, well, you know, if somebody falls out of the Royal Rumble and they weren't supposed to, then let's try to get around it and just sort of play along kind of a thing. But there was no point in him doing this other than to be like, nope, doesn't count. And then you can just go, well, it counted for Big Show. Yeah, well, we like to change our rules. All right, well, suspension of disbelief is one thing, and then just flat out ignoring previous rules. Why don't we just have, like, the next person who wins the Royal Rumble is somebody who wasn't even in the match? Or, like, why don't we have...
That's happened. John Cena.
You know?
Edge. It's happened a few times.
Well, at the end of the day, that wasn't the worst spot or part about this match. The worst part was when they get lighter fluid and like started putting it on the table. And then they don't even get the light on fucking fire. They just have him go through the table before he get light on fire.
You mean the heel did something to upset you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know what? Caitlin was talking about, like, he only got off his, like, seat once during that, Selena Del Sol. You know,
Yep.
I was like easing my way up, like, oh my god, this is about to get fucking crazy. And then it's like,
No,
damn it.
At that point, I was saying, wow, they haven't used fire in a while this way. I wonder if... And I was like, oh, no, of course. They're just teasing.
And see, I'd argue against Wago's point there. The heel didn't do something to piss off the audience. WWE Creative did something to piss off the audience. When Braun Strowman was putting through the table, he was putting the guy through the table to win the match, not to prevent the fans from seeing a cool table spot. It's different when a heel does something like they cheat to win, and then it's like, oh, boo, you shouldn't have done that, we don't like you, as opposed to, this would be fun, wouldn't it? Nah, just kidding.
See,
That's WWE.
That's exactly what a heel does. He's a dick.
Heels don't have any...
If there was something actually going on to it, like if he went to the table that had the lighter fluid on it, and then poured a bucket of water over it, and then picked it up and threw it out of the ring, then that's actually, like, making note of that.
Right.
But I see Tony's point. He just used it as a regular old weapon. Like, it could have been any table. He probably didn't I almost bet you, he fucked it up, and it was supposed to be a spot later, and he put him through the wrong fucking table.
No, he was, like, lining it with, like, no, he was, like, putting the lighter fluid on him, and then, like, Bray came out of nowhere and hit him in the back, and then put him through the table.
It's just a way to kind of say screw you to the audience. Like, again, I'm going to bring this up. Going into TLC, very, very few people were, like, super excited for it. And then we've had these issues, the Rusev Ryback match, the weird pre-show, and all that kind of stuff. This could have used anything to get the crowd really interested. And then when you go, like, we're going to have fire, and then you just take it away, that kind of illustrates the point, again, of them not willing to do what would really get the audience to go crazy. And this was an underwhelming tables match, I think.
Well, devil's advocate, what about if they're going to use fire later and they're just teasing it?
Well, they didn't.
If they do it later, I still think that would all right, let's put it this way. If they do it later, that helps it, but at the same time, it doesn't help it for this pay-per-view. It helps it for the overall grand scheme of things, and if they do it like that, they have to make sure that they do it double what this would have been.
Well,
because you need to make up for it.
This is all obviously leading to WrestleMania, where they're going to set fire to J&J's car. And then all the storyline's going to have conclusion.
Yeah, I was thinking, it makes sense for someone like Bray Wyatt to put someone through a flaming table. You think he would have taken advantage of that situation, really show how much of an evil character this man, Bubba Ray, all these people look up to. I want to put him through, like, the one thing that he's done his whole career.
I like how Bubba Ray looks up to Bray Wyatt, too.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about, Drew?
Fucking weirdo.
Well, do you guys think that this does a lot to help the Wyatt family, or was this just that they beat up a bunch of old fucks?
They just beat up a bunch of old fucks.
Yeah, this was an attempt to recover them from Undertaker and Kane's ass whooping, but it didn't really do much.
Yeah, nobody cares. Like, it's not even like these guys have been around doing anything. I mean, the Dudley Boys came in with piss and vinegar, but then quickly became irrelevant. Tommy Dreamer. I mean, we literally were just joking about what a loser Tommy Dreamer was, and how embarrassing he was to the name Tommy, like 2 days before he came back. Like, we were talking about how cool Tommy Pickles is and all these other Tommies, and then there's that asshole. And then 2 days later, he's on Raw.
You see, when all the ECW originals came out, it's like, okay, Dudley Boy's pretty cool. Wow, Rhino's arms are pretty big. Oh, fucking Tommy Dreamer.
Then we had our Intercontinental Championship title change. Dean Ambrose defeated Kevin Owens almost twice. There was a little bit of a mess up there where Owens was supposed to grab the ring rope, and
a little bit.
Kind of didn't, kind of did. I mean, that's the type of thing where...
We just said if he had put one hand on him, he would have counted going for the table. He put one finger on the rope.
Well, that's the type
not
of thing...
before he hit the 3, though. I don't think.
That's the type of a screw-up that I'm willing to kind of ignore a little bit. Like, clearly he was supposed to get there quicker, and since I know that this is scripted, I'm going to just give him a little bit of a pass. But when they book a spot through, like, the table thing, then they're creating a rule and then a problem to get around the rule.
Hold on a second. Isn't that first the table thing more natural? Like, oh crap, we're not going to get a chance to actually set this on fire, so let's just put them through a table and get this done. When you're saying that you are just purposely choosing to let your disbelief be shown through knowing that this is a blown spot, isn't that worse?
No, I'm talking about the kick through the table.
The kick through the table?
When Braun Strowman kicked through the table, and then they were like, no, he's not eliminated. That type of thing. Because that's a booking decision.
That's just a rule change.
Yeah, it's a rule change that is unnecessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a rule change, but them not counting the 3 when Owens clearly did not make contact with the rope. That's a botch.
Yeah, when that happened with Eva Marie, they booed her out of the fucking building.
Yeah, that was
So
on the
it
ref.
makes
The
Kevin
ref should have
Owens
counted it.
The refs are supposed to be told to count 3 if there's a 3. Especially if Ambrose is going to win anyway. Just count the fucking 3 and let it be a shock.
It was just an extra 30 seconds after that anyway, so they should have counted it then.
Right.
The ref fucked up. Or actually, Owens fucked up. They both fucked up. He didn't touch the rope, and he didn't count the 3 when he should have.
Or even, I mean, we just had this whole thing with Charlotte and Paige where Paige is complaining afterward and saying, look, she had was it her hand or her leg or something like that underneath the ropes. Kevin Owens is going to complain that he lost the title. Then you could have been like, dude, I had my fucking finger on there. It's the same thing again, but it would have been a way around it a little bit. But I'm willing to kind of let it go a little bit, just because you can't just constantly shit on every single little thing. And that's a screw up that it's not the biggest screw up in the world, so I'm okay with that, but I'm very worried about what this means for the future for a lot of different reasons. Partially, I was really hoping that we would get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the IC title at WrestleMania. Now that's out the window, I think. Because if they do have that, that means that Kevin Owens has to win the title back within the next month. And then it's sort of like, well, what's the point of giving Dean Ambrose the belt? And if they don't do that, then I'm curious what the match is going to be. And if Kevin Owens doesn't get a good match, that'll be disappointing. If Dean Ambrose is the IC champion and that means he's not going to win the Royal Rumble, then that's disappointing a little bit to me. And it's also, if Dean Ambrose is just saddled for a random mid-card thing, I don't want to see like Dean Ambrose versus maybe Rusev at WrestleMania.
Can I break your heart, Tony? I'm going to break your heart. Okay?
How so?
Do you know why Ambrose won the title? Transitional champion. That's all.
Now,
That's it.
I'm in 100% agreement.
Yeah,
and that's another thing that bugs me.
I think they're planning to elevate Kevin Owens, so they want that belt off of him.
Now, who do you think they were going to elevate him for? Because there's speculation that he could be facing Brock.
I don't know if I buy the Brock Lesnar thing, but Taker needs an opponent this year.
And there's maybe, now this is the part of me that's just like holding out hope, crossing my fingers, maybe Owens wins the Royal Rumble.
Oof.
You could have Reigns win the belt at Royal Rumble and Reigns and Owens at WrestleMania. They do know that those two have decent chemistry together and that they have gotten the crowd really excited. I have zero ability to believe that this is going to happen.
Do you think they're going to sell 105,000 seats for Owens versus Reigns?
I also think that they're screwed almost no matter what. Like, I'm worried about this Dean Ambrose situation. Makes me more worried than what happened later on with Sheamus and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania. Because now I'm starting to really get a little bit paranoid that we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and I do not want that. I don't think that that's going to be a thing that sells as much as they think it will.
I'm up for it. I mean, that Brock Lesnar's a huge star. Roman Reigns has had such a journey this year. I think seeing them go against each other would be huge. And knowing this time that you don't have the possibility of Weasley, Seth Rollins, or any Money in the Bank winner for that matter to come in and interrupt it, it was kind of annoying. We never really got to see the finish of that match last year because those guys were beating the shit out of each other.
It was a good match. It was physical as fuck.
That was probably... I think I heard this on the Stone Cold podcast. They said that was pretty much the best WrestleMania main event we've had in almost a decade.
Don't you think that people are just going to go, oh, I saw it last year?
I mean,
they've done rematches.
Yeah.
Rematches are big in any sport.
Well, at least they weren't advertising it as once in a lifetime and didn't have a second one.
Yeah, as long as they don't advertise it like that. And they've done it for WrestleMania multiple times. I mean, Cena and Rock, Triple H and Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Hogan and Andre,
Austin and
Rock. I mean, it wasn't set consecutively, but they still did it multiple times. Like, they've done this plenty of times. Kane and Undertaker.
Now, is that good enough, though, to justify being the selling point of the pay-per-view when we don't have as many people on the card? Like, is that going to be good enough, I guess I could say, to sort of fill in the spot of Seth Rollins, Sting, and all the other people that are going to be missing? Because if that's going to be the top of the card kind of thing, that's what this is all the foundation for.
I'm going to be quite honest. I don't know how you're getting Brock versus Reigns at all. It's clearly Triple H and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Like
it's a possibility that Reigns wins the belt at Royal Rumble and Brock wins the Royal Rumble itself.
Nah.
No, they're doing Triple H and Reigns, dude.
Yeah, the way that Raw, not Raw, TLC ended, they're definitely doing that.
So I'm going to skip over the Divas title match for right now. Not entirely, but since we're talking about this and whatever, Sheamus defeated Roman Reigns tonight. If those who don't know, you need to know the actual results that are happening here. And we're going to talk about the match itself. But before we get into the match itself, too, if we go with Triple H and Roman Reigns, which is definitely a possibility. I mean, they look like they're building up to that quite a bit. Who do you guys think is going to be wrestling for the belt at WrestleMania?
Sheamus?
Wiggins is throwing in the chat there, Sheamus and Cena?
No.
Yeah.
You want to know what they're going to do? They're finally going to get that Sheamus Daniel Bryan match that they've been trying to do for the past couple years, but they weren't able to do. So now Daniel Bryan's going to win the Rumble, and then they can finally do that match.
That's not happening.
Do you think Brock wins the Royal Rumble?
Brock and Sheamus?
I wouldn't say Brock and Sheamus. I would say Brock and Cena.
Okay, Sheamus is dropping the belt.
Yeah, Sheamus is dropping the belt. I think Cena comes back, he gets a title match almost immediately, and he takes that belt from Sheamus.
Honestly, when Brock Lesnar came back, a Sheamus-Brock Lesnar match was a match that I was craving for because, at the time, Sheamus was this big bully kind of who was tough, fought, makes sense for those two to fight.
And regardless of how many times we've seen it and how overplayed Cena is in the main event, he can draw. So, and Brock Lesnar's a draw. It's probably the biggest match they can do.
They never put that match on a big marquee, really.
That's true.
I guess SummerSlam, but
yeah, SummerSlam.
Even there was kind of muttered in with the CM Punk match, and
well, they try and make SummerSlam WrestleMania, but it's never even come close.
Well, we'll get back to that in a moment. I want to backtrack a little bit to Charlotte versus Paige. Charlotte definitely looks like the heel here, and Paige kind of looks like the babyface, kind of looks like the heel. Anybody really give a shit about this? Because I don't.
No, can we move on?
No, I do, because this is a problem. What the hell are they doing with these girls?
Yeah.
What they did nothing but say, oh, Charlotte is the daughter of Ric Flair. She's the daughter of Ric Flair. Oh, the apple's not going to fall far from the tree with this one. She's going to be legendary. And it didn't work. People rejected her. People were like, no, you need to show me more because you got all these other women who are hustling and doing all this awesome stuff. You can't just be, oh, I'm a second-generation star. That doesn't even work for the men anymore. You can't do that for the women. And that wasn't working enough. So now what do? Oh, have her do the strut and woo even more than she was. And now she's going to take other mannerisms like dropping her knee brace and doing the jumping knee. And oh my fucking God, it was horrendous.
When it comes to copy and pasting, you could do that with Ric Flair and his daughter because he's an easy one to do it with. He cheats, goes for the easy no-look wins.
Yeah, because it worked all the other times with all of his other offspring, right?
Well, one of the advantages of having long hair for a wrestler is being able to call spots with your hair in your face so the crowd can't see you or hear you. Mm-hmm. But, oh my God, Charlotte was talking this whole match. Like, what? More than anybody else tonight. You could see her constantly calling spots. It's like, use your hair, don't talk so damn loud. I know they have that ring mic'd pretty well, but did anybody else pick up on that? I mean, how could you not?
You could see it in her mouth. You didn't have to hear it. You could see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as bad as Triple H later fucking shouting again as Roman Reigns pummels him with a chair.
Again.
To be fair, I mean, he just got hit by a chair. You got to have the adrenaline running through you, and you're probably going to blow out a spot a little loud like that.
Yeah, it's a little different from Charlotte going I think that we should do this spot next. Are you okay with this? Okay. Whoa.
Basically, yeah.
Where are we going for dinner after the show?
Yeah. I like Chili's. You down for Chili's?
Yeah, my dad got me these really cool new socks. Check them out.
They say woo on them.
Oh, you can't see him? All right, cool. Let's do this move so then you can see him while we're doing the move.
Yeah, I'll put you in head scissors or something, and then you can take a look at my socks.
Oh, wow, you were right. These socks are pretty cool.
So am I the heel here, or are you the heel?
I don't know.
Oh, your heels look pretty nice too, yeah.
Yeah.
You think I should woo now?
I'm glad you picked up on the heels joke there. Yeah, so they look like they're building to Charlotte and Becky, and Becky's clearly a babyface in here because she doesn't win a match, and she looks sad. That's what babyfaces do in WWE now. And Charlotte's a heel, I guess. I don't know if that's official or not, but it seems like it's kind of official. and Paige is just sort of, bitchy heel on the side.
Do we have any babyface divas?
I don't. Yeah, Natalia.
Like any strong babyface divas, I should specifically say, because we got Becky, but she's a little sourpuss on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brie pretends to be a face on SmackDown.
She's face when she screams Brie mode, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like the other 9/10 of the match,
she does the yes kicks and stuff like that.
And they're not pushing Darren Young anymore, so.
And I think, if I remember correctly, they booked her as a babyface on the Tribute to the Troops.
Oh, well, everyone's a babyface on Tribute to the Troops.
Well, not like Kevin Owens that leaves and says, like, America sucks or something.
Yeah, I doubt Rusev will be a face. I doubt, like, the League of Nations will be faces.
Okay, Rusev, the League of Nations comes out all with American flags. I don't know. So any thoughts on the direction of the Divas Championship? Do you guys, we clearly are having our issues with it and stuff, so we're not going to be super into it, but is there anything that they can do that can just kind of make you immediately excited? Just one fell swoop?
Yeah, they get rid of women's wrestling on the WWE Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views, and they make it an NXT exclusive.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they get rid of maybe Superstars or Main Event and just make like a women's wrestling show.
Oh, that'd be perfect, because then I can avoid women's wrestling altogether.
Yeah, they do have a show. It's called Total Divas.
Total Stevas.
Total Stevens. Hey, Wenger, you're on that.
Whatever they're doing here, I hope it leads to Sasha Banks in the title picture at WrestleMania. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm hoping they don't even have a title match at WrestleMania. I hope it's just one of those clusterfuck things that eats up 5 minutes and that's it.
Ugh.
So who's ready for the Battle Royale?
I hope Charlotte breaks her fucking leg.
Yeah, you know what? That's what you do. Where you have so few people on the roster right now, they can't really do this Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Yes. Do the women's one instead.
No.
Who's the tallest woman
and
wrestler?
Kid Rock can play them out, and it'll be great.
No, it's not Andre the Giant. It's Andrea the Giant.
Andrea the Giant.
I didn't even think about the Andre the Giant thing.
After his daughter.
Do you remember?
Yeah, they don't have enough guys.
Isn't Maria meant to be coming back? I'd rather just look at. I'd rather just look at her than just fucking watch any more of this shit.
Galen, you say they don't have enough people for it. I guarantee you they'll bring a lot of old people back just for that.
They could fill that up if they had.
Yeah, they'll just
even with the guys they have.
I mean, they're just gonna have to dig deep, is all.
You forget how many nobodies that are still on that roster that we just don't see. Even when they're like in the depths they're in now, we're still not seeing Heath Slater and the Ascension and Zack Ryder and all those guys.
Why do that when you can make wrestlers wrestle like 3 times a night?
Exactly.
Well, the last match we had was that TLC match for the world title. Sheamus, again, as I mentioned earlier, defeated Roman Reigns with some help from the League of Nations. And at the end of this, Roman Reigns stands tall, sort of, even though he didn't win the title, because he just beats the shit out of Triple H and Sheamus. And I don't know what happened to the rest of the League of Nations. They just sort of, let it all happen, I guess. But we've got basically the way that I expected this to go down a little bit. The League of Nations was going to be a factor in there somewhere, and I expected Sheamus to kind of retain through those other people. But the big story here, not so much that Sheamus retains, it's the Roman Reigns and Triple H beatdown. And the story that they're going to be apparently telling tomorrow night, tonight technically, is the whole idea of, he's going to get fired and whatever.
Yeah, Wago's going to lose 100 points, his league's going to die.
Do you think that they're going to go with a fired route and maybe bring him back for the Royal Rumble and do that whole thing, which is, I would say immediately would be a mistake, because anytime that they fire somebody and bring him back that quick, it's underwhelming. Juan Cena. And the other possibility is, do they not fire him and just sort of act like maybe nothing necessarily happened that was punishable by a firing, or what's the direction you guys want to see this go?
Well, they can fire him. They have no reason they have to bring him back for the Royal Rumble. He doesn't have to show up until after Fastlane.
They fire him and John Cena gets his job back.
I don't think they're going to have him off TV. He's the golden boy. They don't want people to forget about him, even though when he comes back, he would get a big pop. But I think they'll either go with a suspension, which will be quickly forgotten or worked around, or they'll just go with the route of having him just be punished over and over again. Oh, well, you did this. We're going to put you in this handicap match over and over.
That'll be super entertaining. Because we've seen that before, too.
I didn't say it would be good.
Yeah, that's true.
With Cena like off TV, I don't think they're gonna fire him actually, just because I don't think they can afford it.
Well, Cena is supposed to be coming back sometime soon. It was only supposed to be until the end of the year, so they only have 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, but
and
I think they're in panic mode right now.
Well, see, they also have the Slammy Awards coming up, and they have Tribute to the Troops, and they have what probably is going to end up being the last show of the year, where it's just kind of like the recap stuff. So they might just kind of look at this as like that they could write this off, and nobody's going to be watching anyway, and that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
I don't think they're in any real panic mode right now. Actually, I think they're just kind of like sailing through the month of December, even through this pay-per-view. I don't think was something where they're like too worried about WrestleMania, because they don't have to be yet. It's not until January they really need to worry about that and getting those cards in place.
Exactly. For the next few weeks, they'll just be in a holding pattern, basically.
Well,
that's going to really help ratings.
we're gonna have a Christmas special and a recap show at some point. So,
well, here's the thing: it doesn't even need to be a holding pattern. They could do stuff. I'm just saying nothing that's going to happen is necessarily going to matter. It'll be cul-de-sac stuff.
Can Del Rio run over Santa again?
Yeah, like a plot cul-de-sac. Like, you go out into an area, you do whatever you're doing there, and then you come back to your original road and continue on.
So, if we have a general idea of some of the things that are happening, some of the things that aren't happening, and, whether or not we're going to be excited for what's coming up, TLC, is this doing anything for you guys? Does this make you more excited about the way that we're going with WWE right now, or did this hurt it even more?
I felt like it accomplished nothing.
Positive or negative? It
wasn't a bad show. Nothing offensive on it other than the Divas match, but they accomplished absolutely nothing. A lot of people are into that Roman Reigns beatdown against Triple H. I like the spear. That was about it. I think it went on for too long. The main event was really shitty in the beginning. They eventually picked up. I mean, we had fucking Cena chants during the main event. They just didn't do nothing for any storyline. It's just blah.
I mean, my expectation going into tonight was very, very low. So, thankfully, it exceeded those expectations, which isn't saying much since my expectations were low. But like Wago was saying, I mean, overall, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think much was accomplished here tonight to advance the stories. I mean, where do they go from here?
Drew, does this make you more excited or less excited? Or neither?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I was like, did my connection die or was that his? He's been sounding like shit tonight. I think his connection's fucked.
Yeah, it might be. All right. I think we might have lost Drew.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, all right. So what was your answer to that other than...
Oh, you didn't hear me say Roman Reigns?
No, we didn't say it. That was your
that still wouldn't be an answer.
Roman Reigns.
No, I was just like, Roman Reigns makes me more interested in him going forward. Not much anywhere else.
Peyton, are you higher or lower or still in middle ground from what you were before?
Roman Reigns. I'm exactly where I was. This show didn't tear me too much in either direction. Like I was mentioning before about the cul-de-sac, TLC was a cul-de-sac. This was just a show. It didn't feel like a big show. It felt just as something for me to watch on my Sunday night that I don't feel like I completely wasted my time. I got a few entertaining moments out of it. I got to do one of my radio shows after it, and that's all I really needed out of it, I guess. It's not going to be anything to write home about. I'm not going to think in 5 years, man, I got to go back to the WWE Network and watch TLC 2015.
I don't think that anybody is going to be doing that.
The ending was definitely the best part by far, and WWE does this sometimes where they'll make a completely lame show just to build up how awesome the moment is at the end. Like they did that with the debut of the Nexus, the debut of the Shield. They do these once in a while. I think that it was. I think maybe that night that Brock came back, that might have been one of those shows too. Even though it was the night after Mania, I think it was kind of a weird show. But I think that may have been what they were trying to go for tonight. Have everything be kind of cool, but nothing amazing. And then, oh my God, Roman Reigns did this thing at the end. I tell you what, it got the crowd into him, and that was the crowd of Boston, which was doing everything in their power to resist him. Like those fans,
we want Cena chance.
Brutal in that main event, like unfairly so, completely unfairly so. They gave them nothing during the big spots of that match, which I think was a detriment to it, and I think overall is going to mar everybody's opinions about it. So overall, fine show. I'm not pulled in either direction. The stuff that matters is going to start hopefully tomorrow night. I mean, that whole thing with Roman and Triple H is essentially our first story for WrestleMania we're seeing being made. So everything past here should hopefully be heading that direction.
So, little roundup here. What would you guys give this if you had to give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down? Just overall, the whole pay-per-view, top to bottom, with your expectations going into it, with your expectations leading out of it, all of this combined, good or bad? Gun to your head, it's 1 or 0. You can't say it was okay. Good or bad? I'm going to go reverse order, kind of. Peyton, is it good or bad?
Good. This didn't hurt anybody. This set up some stuff for the future. There were some entertaining spots. I mean, when I say it didn't hurt anybody, I'm sure there were some guys that got hurt, which that's something you can complain about the gimmick. Was it worth these guys getting these big bruises on them and maybe not being able to perform? Heck alone tomorrow, some of these guys could have been hurt and been out of WrestleMania being only a few months away. That's a mistake that they should work to rectify. But not getting into those theories, this was a fine show to watch, so I would go with good over bad.
Drew, what do you think? Good or bad?
Good.
Or Roman Reigns?
There were a few good matches, one really great match, and a few little duds here and there. But overall, I would definitely say, yeah, thumbs up.
Kalen?
I'm going to agree. I would say if I have to give it 1 or 0, I would say a 1. It is good. There were a few duds, but I think the better matches redeemed that. It wasn't the best pay-per-view of the year by far, but I enjoyed myself. There were a lot of good spots.
Wago?
Shit. Good or bad? If
He sounded in pain. It's like, shit.
yeah, it's hard because it's really in between. But
If this will make it easier for you, I'm going bad.
I'm gonna go bad too, just because I just watched 16
boy.
hours of I just watched 16 hours of UFC and I enjoyed it all. And this one, I'm just kind of bleh. You couldn't give me 3 hours of solid fun. Fuck you.
I don't think I'd even boil this down to an hour of fun. I was more so, like, I'm looking at this at the end of the night, and I'm going, well, that was the thing. Good thing that TakeOver's coming up soon, huh? Because that one I'm actually excited for. I think that's actually going to be good. So if you're, listening to this and you're going, oh, Tony hates everything or something like that, check out our post-show for TakeOver, because I got a feeling that's going to be all, dude, it was awesome, and then that thing kicked ass, and that thing was even better, and all that. Which would be following the way that WWE's been doing things lately. They have like a weird WWE pay-per-view, and almost immediately after or before it is a TakeOver that's good. So
You've never sounded that excited in your life.
Oh man, totally awesome, dude! Roman Reigns.
Biased. Like he's already praising how awesome TakeOver is going to be. It hasn't even happened yet.
Hey, you know what? That's because WWE has done that same thing over a while. They've given me a reason to think that that's what's going to happen.
They've given
TakeOver's good.
They've given you consistency, something they haven't given us on these other pay-per-views.
Yeah, they
exactly
have consistent crap.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough.
Point made.
All right, so that's it when it comes to our little recap here for TLC. Make sure you guys leave your comments below if you're listening to this later on YouTube, or you want to tell us your opinions out on the Smark Out Moment website itself. Go ahead and do that there. Tweet at us, follow us, and all that other kind of stuff like that. We're going to go around here one more time and just promote some different things we have going on, some different plugs that we want to throw out for you guys. So, Kaylin, anything you want to toss out there for the people?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Kalen Ferris.
Drew?
You can follow me on Twitter at Joseph White, and you can go to my YouTube, which is Mick Frickin' Duncan.
Wago?
All right, you can follow me on the Twitter at Stephen Wago. That's Stephen spelled with a PH, the only real way to do it. And go to stephenwago.com, which will drop you on my Tumblr and all my corresponding links. Kaboom.
Don't forget to check him out at his latest appearance on Total Stevas. That's going to be next week.
Thank you, Tony. Almost forgot.
Peyton?
Well, find me on the Twitter by typing in at MRPADEN. That's Mr. Payton to see all the things I got going on. If you're a wrestling fan, you found yourself here at MegaPowersRadio.com. You should return every Monday night following Raw because we do these post shows for every single Raw. As long as we can take it anyway. It's getting to the breaking point. But join us while it's there, folks. Get it while it's good. Because who knows if it will be there next year.
Ooh. So, guys, hit that subscribe button if you like this. Maybe you want to give us a little thumbs up. That'd be awesome. Or if you're listening on iTunes and Stitcher, leave a review and tell us how awesome we are. And if you don't like it, don't leave a review. But keep checking smarkoutmoment.com for everything else that's coming. I mentioned before, TakeOver is coming up soon over the next couple days. We got another episode of Smack Talk. So that's going to be covering our predictions for TakeOver. And then pretty much immediately right after that, it's going to be TakeOver since it's early. We're going to try to do a post show for that as well. And then we're going to cover everything else that happens throughout the hot tags and anything else we need to do. Then we're going to start getting into some of the end of the year stuff because we have the Smark Out Moment Awards for 2015 is up on the website right now. Go over there, cast your votes while you can. Those polls shut off on the 27th. And I also have a fan survey that's up there if you want to give your feedback too. You can check that out on the Mega Maniacs on Facebook. And for anything else that's happening, just follow Tony Mango and A Mango Tree on social media. We'll hit you up with everything else like that. So, thank you to all the listeners that were checking us out live on MegaPowersRadio.com. Thank you to all the listeners that are checking the archive version. Whatever you are, thanks for listening. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.